Hello, you probably know me as Snow White, the girl from a fairy tale. But what you don't know is that I've lived most of my life surrounded not by castles or dwarfs, but by animals, trees, and silence. And every once in a while, life teaches you a lesson that no fairy tale ever could. This is not a story about magic. It's a story about loyalty, about memory, about saying goodbye. Years ago, deep in the woods I now call home, we rescued a lion. He had been caught in a poacher's trap, bleeding, weak, terrified. I remember the moment we cut him free. He was silent, almost like he knew we weren't there to hurt him. My closest friend at the time, an old ranger we all called Grandpa Mac, took special care of that lion, cleaned his wounds, fed him, protected him until he could stand again. And then, one day, the lion disappeared back into the wild. We never expected to see him again. Until the day of Grandpa Mac's funeral. That day, something happened that none of us could have imagined, and I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. Please listen to the rest of this story, because it's something I'll never forget. It was one of the hottest mornings we'd had all season, the kind of dry, still heat that makes the entire forest feel like it's holding its breath. We had a wounded rhino to check on. It had been limping after a fall. Grandpa Mac insisted on coming with us, even though he was clearly exhausted. He was over 70, but his spirit was stronger than any of us. The forest was his home, the animals, his family. We arrived near the bushes where the rhino had been resting. Grandpa Mac stepped out of the jeep first. I watched as he slowly walked toward the animal, eyes filled with care. Then, it happened. He clutched his chest. His knees buckled, and he collapsed into the dry grass. We ran. I screamed his name. His lips were pale, his breathing faint. Someone called for help. Someone else searched his pockets for his medicine. But it wasn't there. By the time the rescue truck arrived, it was almost too late. We held his hand. We kept talking to him. I kept saying, "You'll be okay. Just hold on." But his eyes were closing. At the clinic, doctors tried everything. CPR, defibrillator. But after 15 minutes, they looked up and shook their heads. He was gone. The silence in the room was unbearable. I had never felt the forest so quiet. Like the trees themselves were mourning. He had always said he wanted to be buried in the forest, under the open sky. So, we honored his wish. The next morning, just after sunrise, we gathered in the central clearing. His body lay peacefully on a simple wooden platform. People stood in silence. Some wept, others just stood frozen, unable to believe the old ranger was really gone. I stood by his side, holding his hand one last time. Then we heard a roar, loud and deep, coming from the edge of the trees. Everyone turned, and there, emerging from the shadows, was a massive lion. My heart stopped. It walked straight toward the platform. Slowly, calmly. No growling, no fear, just presence. The crowd parted, and the lion walked right up to Grandpa Mac's body and lowered its head, not to attack, not to scare, but like it understood. I recognized the scar on its side, a long, jagged line that ran along its ribs. It was him, the same lion we had rescued so long ago, the same lion Grandpa Mac had nursed back to life. I stepped forward. He saw me and paused for a moment, but he stayed. He stood beside Mac, his head bowed, and the entire forest seemed to go still. After the service, we carried Mac's body to a hill he loved, shaded by a giant tree with soft grass and wide skies. The lion followed, silently, as if this journey was his too. We dug a small grave and placed him gently inside. I placed a carved stone with his name at the head of the grave. And still, the lion stood there, not moving. Then he let out a roar, a single deep roar that echoed across the hills. It wasn't angry, it wasn't wild. It was grief, pure heartbreaking grief, the kind of sound you never forget, the kind that stays with you forever. After that, the lion turned and walked away, slowly, dignified, alone. The next day, the reserve stopped all activities. A day of silence, a day to remember. People came to visit the grave, bringing wildflowers, lighting candles, whispering prayers. And at dawn, the lion came back. He sat quietly beside the grave, watching, remembering, mourning. He didn't leave until the sun was high. Days passed, and still, sometimes I see him, alone, by the grave, not looking for food, not looking for shelter, just being there. Grandpa Mac gave that lion a second chance at life, and now the lion honors him in return. People think animals forget, but I know they remember, and I will never forget either.